The Toreando, or the Matador pass, is one of the simpler passes. It's one of the old school passes. It's been updated. It's confusing because there's a whole bunch of different variations. We take you through the basic variations. So, old school. We'd be here. This is especially true back in the day when everybody doing jiu-jitsu basically thought they were going to be fighting MMA any day. So we're here. I'm going to control the ankles. And I'm going to fake and then throw. I'm going 1, 2. I'm going to fake them in the direction that I want to go, and then I'm going to throw them away from me. At the same time, the leg work looks like this. We used to drill this like here. In reality, it might look like that. This still works. You still see this in MMA. You still see this in the UFC. You still see people going here and either passing the guard or throwing the big right hand. Very deadly combo. The trouble is, without the threat of striking and without the higher level of guard retention that's in jiu-jitsu these days, it works. Take away the threat of striking and take away the higher guard retention that you see in the people able to invert, this just no longer works really at a high level. The remaining variations we'll show with the gi. A lot of them also work no gi. We'll make some adjustments. So typically here, I would get control below the knees, and even if the guy controlled my sleeves, that's okay. I would push in on him. When he pushed back, I would go away and I would drag the feet to the floor. I would circle and I would essentially spear him with my shoulder while staying up on my toes. From here, through a series of adjustments, I'd grab the head, bring the knee in beside the hip, then control side and out. So what this relied on was separating his legs from his torso. Guard retention is very heavily about elbow-knee connection. And if I can drag his legs away from his elbows, here, it's pretty easy to pass guard, including some pretty embarrassing guard passes, by the way. So that was the next evolution of the Toreando. Basically, dragging the legs, planting them on the ground, then running around. Trouble is, as people started getting better, they would do stuff like this. As I would drag the leg away, they sit up. Now they're going for an instep guard. They're going to get a collar grip. They're going for an arm drag. Also, as I control the pants, they're going to start going to spider guard and the lasso here. And now I'm all tied up. So it was a good idea. It worked for a while, but the Toreando has now become even more refined. The third variation looks like this. We're here. One hand's going to go punch out to about 45 degrees, and the other hand is going to punch underneath the elbow. So you have to practice this. What I'm doing here is, we'll cover the gripping later, the hand that punches out is going to punch his far leg like this. The other hand that was punching under the elbow is pulling his knee down here. I'm basically turning him away and trying to open up this space here. I am punching out to the side and punching down here. Now I'm going to insert myself into that space there. We might insert ourselves with a knee, staying high, knee mount. We might insert ourselves by going here and crashing down on top of him, then coming up, typically controlling the horse collar. The fact he's pointing away means we need to be very aware he's going to try and turn to his belly. Go ahead. Which means I need to be ready to take his back. Again, the key thing is one hand is going to be turning his hips like this. The other hand is going to be pushing his leg down as much as I can. There. Where I grip, this is up to you. It's also opportunistic. Grabbing on the inside is good because I can stop his spider hooks from coming in a little bit. But if all I have is on the outside, and he's got his spider hooks, I can try to still achieve that and then do the push and pull. You see how I'm pushing here and pulling here? Crashing in and going. Leandro Lo is amazing at this guard pass. Relentless with it too. And you see him doing it with outside grips, inside grips, hand on the shin grips, and just going and going and going and going. And if he's doing that at a world-class level, then I'm pretty sure it'll work at your club. The fourth variation is very similar, but instead of me pushing and pulling and either circling or diving, he's all balled up. He's all balled up. He's just trying to get a spider guard position basically, or some kind of entanglement. Maybe I come in and I leave my foot forward, he's going to grab the ankle, start weaving an outside hooks guard, and make my life miserable. So guard players are often balled up because it decreases the space here. So let's say we're here. Let's say I'm controlling one leg and we're fighting for this other hand, and I get it. Now if he's balled up, that same motion, push and pull, ends up turning him. It's this motion here. It's not very hard. It's a steering wheel motion. This won't work if he's flat. Just go flat, lift your knees up. That's a lot of work. But if he's balled up the way he should be, this is often quite easy. From here, typically, I'm going to drop my head and spear his belly with my head. He's going to be making frames and stuff. I'm going to be here with the crossed legs. What I want to do is control him by putting my head on his belly. Then fighting to get past the arms. There are also other ways to break his frames. And there are also other ways to finish that. So we're here. He'll be balled up. We're here. He's framing up effectively. Wouldn't that be great to finish somebody at a tournament quick? Point is, sometimes I move around him. Sometimes that same motion will get him to spin, and you need to know how to stabilize the passing position from here as well. Fifth variation, one that's becoming more popular. I don't know if it will replace the double shin grip, but it's certainly something you need to watch out for. Is instead of the double shin grip or the double V grip on the shins, one hand is going to go onto the hip. It's going to go here, and it's going to kind of pry out his leg here with the forearm. You see how Richie's knee moves outwards? That is very similar to this pressure. Now, there isn't as much outward pressure with that forearm because my arm isn't as long. It's not as long as my arm. But what this does allow me to do is to circle and then really push this leg straight before crashing in. So I cannot turn him as far away. So I need to move more. Instead of having the double inside grip, move to a hip grip and a shin grip. I try and turn him as much as I can. I'm going to use that to hold him in place. And now I'm going to push. What you don't see there is my body weight coming down and driving that foot to the floor. That's the secret sauce that you can't see from your angle. Here. That's a lot of pressure on the hip flexor to be driving in with my weight here. I can't stop that. And then coming in. I end up in a bit of a cross position. It's going to take me a while to adjust, but that's okay. So number one, the old school toss. Fake one way, go the other, then step to the knee mount. Number two, control the legs, step back, pin them to the floor. If he stays straight, circle, shoulder pin, stabilize. Number three, the push and pull. It's the karate move, where you're pushing out one side to make a lever out of his leg, and you're pushing underneath your own arm with your other arm to stretch out his leg. Number four, you do the same thing, but it ends up turning into a spin, at which point you have to stabilize that north-south position. Is anyone else old enough to remember when we used to call that 69? North-south position. Number five, very similar to number three, except you're putting your hand on the hip and flaring out your forearm to pin that leg out, and you do more circling and then more driving down of the leg that's up. 5 variations. I'm sure it's not the last. I'm sure there'll be a 6th, 7th, 8th variation as time goes on in this rapidly evolving sport, but I hope that gives you a context of the types of Toreando pass that you can use right now.